I'm not sure what you mean by that. Run that by me again.
Came up to take you to the airport just so we could see all this.
So I said to Mom, I just want to go in the airport.
Wow.
There's nobody here.
I don't know who you are right now. I don't know who I am.
Well, I made it to the airport. It's really amazing how so many people don't know how to wear their masks. But really, it's just when holding your daughter is at risk, seeing these people wear their masks below their nose, or the woman in front of me in security line kept lifting up her mask to talk to her husband. Yeah, it's just obnoxious. I'm sitting on the floor because either I'm going to be sitting close to somebody, or I found a spot and then realized the entire group of people there wasn't wearing their masks.
I kept you in a paper cup.
I gotta record the aftermath, my eyes watering and everything, because I just did my first COVID test, the nasal swab. Sorry, I was wearing a hat earlier, and I was like, all right, mentally prepare me for this. And she was like, basically your eyes, you know, I was like, it's gonna go deep, right? She was like, yeah. She was like, basically we'll go and your eyes are gonna water. That's kind of how we know that we're getting to that spot. She stuck it in there and I was like, oh, that's not bad. That's not bad. Oh, it tickles. Oh, my eyes are watering. Oh, my eyes are watering. And then she pulled it out and did the other side. And it was like just liquid coming from my face. It was funny. Oh, first COVID test down. Now we just gotta wait for the results. All right, well, I dropped off the rental car at Fox, took a shuttle to the international thing, and my shuttle driver did not believe in coronavirus, and so he wasn't wearing his mask, and so I started my story about how I'm going back to see my wife and daughter, who I haven't seen in forever, and that all I have to do is pass these coronavirus tests, and that it's the people running around without masks on that are the problem in getting me back there. And then I looked over and he had re-put his mask back on. It's like, fucking people. Then then I just continued. But anyway, I'm here. Okay. Bangkok. So if you happen to be following my little situation, essentially I've been away from Mia and Mina for almost 7 full months. 7 months since I held my daughter. It's not easy. 1, 2, 3. Father's Day is one of the hardest days I've ever had to go through my entire life.
Where's Mia? Yeah. Can you kiss mommy right here? Kiss for mommy right here.
Happy birthday, dear Mia. Happy birthday to you. And finally, so month after month, it was I had a flight booked for April 2nd, April 2nd. I was gonna go back. That was gonna be our last trip. We were going to finish Mina's marriage visa stuff, and the whole family, May 29th was gonna come back with me to the States. About 2 weeks before that happened, the whole country got locked down, coronavirus. So, I booked the next month, May 7th. I was gonna fly on May 7th because they only did 30 days. May 7th, 2 weeks before, we're gonna extend the lockdown. June 2nd or 3rd, I booked. About a week before, we're gonna extend the lockdown. God, it was torture for all of us, for Mina and I. Booked July 1st. I wasn't gonna wait any extra time before getting out there. By the time it got to the end of June, we kind of knew that wasn't gonna happen, even though nothing official had happened. But we knew that it didn't look good. But come about July 1st, they opened up stipulations. They gave stipulations on the spouses of Thai nationals could enter, which was an incredible feeling to just know that they were opening up to that that community because we're starting to get loud, which was good. And so they put out guidelines, but it was super confusing. It was really hard to grasp what was clear. So immediately I started gathering what documents I could. I needed proof of $100,000 in COVID coverage, which I did have insurance through my union already that did have a policy, but I actually had to bounce around and lost faith for a little bit that I was actually going to get proof of coverage because it was international, and I recently rolled back my coverage a little bit because the family wasn't here yet, and I'm a healthy guy, so I just wanted to save some cash for that quarter and put it towards the family plan when the girls got here. So essentially $100,000 in COVID coverage, fit to fly certificate, and a negative COVID test within 72 hours. I had to get marriage certificates together, of course, all of my financial documents to prove that I could cover it, visa photos, which luckily I had some that had been taken recently, so I didn't have to go out and get those. I had a proof of going and coming flights before they actually sent me the list of repatriation flights. So I had to book those knowing that at least my front end would be replaced. I'd have to cancel that, which was a little gummy, but it's whatever. So essentially, once I got all my preliminary paperwork together, I submitted that for my certificate of entry application to the embassy. Once that was, let's see, I submitted that, and it was a few days before I heard back from them. But I got an email that had the list of repatriation flights in July and the airlines that were providing them and contact information for all those airlines. And so I started contacting. Actually booked a flight for July 31st. I didn't pay for it, I held it. I did the initial booking, that's just the repatriation flight process. Put it on hold and began looking for a quarantine hotel. At that point, all the quarantine hotels were completely booked. And so I actually had to go back and cancel my July 31st flight, which was heartbreaking in itself because I got hope. And after 6 months at that point, that little bit of hope was huge just to have a flight. And so we were back in limbo again, waiting for the embassy to release their list of repatriation flights for August. A couple days went by and I got an email. I had iHana Tours, IHANA Tours.com, I believe is their website. They actually had them listed on their website. So for the next 2 days, I basically kept their website up and hit refresh. And had stayed in contact with the other airlines. Cathay, American Airlines was teamed up with Japan Airlines. Cathay and I'm drawing a blank on the other one. I booked with Cathay. And so the iHana Tours was working with American Airlines and put out a flight for the 4th, and it was just too soon. I know I couldn't get that, but I had been in touch with Cathay and they sent me a list that had flights for the 10th and one for the 13th. And so I got on the one for the 10th and went ahead to book that. And at the same, when I saw that, I started contacting all the hotels before I officially booked the flight so I could try and get somebody to confirm that a hotel was available for me before I even booked the the flights, because of what happened last time, I booked the flight and then started calling everybody. There was nothing available. And so while I'm doing all this, waiting for a response from the hotels, Cathay sends me an email. It was about a day had passed. Cathay sent an email and said, you have until tomorrow to confirm your airline. Around the same time, I got a message back from one of the hotels, one of the state quarantine hotels, that said that they had availability. So I sent them all my documents and then waited and waited and waited and waited and waited. Got to the end of the day and hadn't heard back from them. So I was sending more messages like, hey, can you guys send this stuff? I'm happy to pay for it, because I needed the payment confirmation to be able to officially book the flight, and I need payment confirmation for the flight and hotel to be able to send it to the embassy. Finally, I started messaging other hotels, and one got back to me and was being very responsive. And so I immediately sent them all of my information, and they got back to me with confirmation. So I actually had to email the original hotel that I contacted that said that they were available. I sent my stuff, and it was basically like, please, please, please don't process my stuff. I had to find another hotel. At that moment, I paid for the half of the hotel and went ahead and booked Cathay, and that gave me my airline confirmation and my my COVID, or not my COVID test, my quarantine hotel. Sent it off to the embassy. Got a message the next morning that said, your paperwork has been approved. Please mail all the hard copies to the embassy, which I was prepared for. I had actually gone out about a month earlier when I mailed out my taxes, and I went and paid for first class mailing. So ultimately with this COVID stuff, I didn't want to go to the post office more than I had to. So I already had that mailer, immediately went down to the post office, put it in the box, went out that day. Day one went by, 2, 3, 4. It's like Monday came around and we're like, all right, well, I didn't expect to hear anything until at least Monday. But you know, the anxiety, it's dominoes stacked to the ceiling. And if one gets a little bit of, yeah, it all comes crumbling down. So I started worrying, wrote the embassy a lengthy email basically saying, you know, I submitted it. I really thought I had enough time. I'm starting to worry that I might not. I had to book my COVID test in LA because, so I have to go to LA 3 days earlier. I'll explain that in a second. I have to go to LA 3 days earlier, which means there's at least 1 or 2 days that I could receive mail that I'm not actually gonna be here. And so that means I gotta leave earlier, blah, 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 blah. Went most of that day and just kind of anxiety, thinking about it. And then about 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening, I got an email from the embassy with the official certificate of entry, like signed by the consular, stamped, with like 2 lines underneath my date of flight. And so when I talked to Mina that night, I was like, I got this. They signed right under my flight. They know I'm leaving. I already paid for first class shipping. Hopefully they'll stick it in. But of course, it's the anxiety of not knowing. That's just like, I woke up the next morning, 9, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, whenever it was, they sent tracking number. And so I was able to get on, which meant it was in the mail. And I'd already paid for first class shipping. I was like, oh my God. After the embassy sent me the confirmation, I put everything in the mail. I started calling testing centers around the state and started to realize that with the amount of testing that's going on right now, everything is backlogged, which is a sad state simply because, 24 hours after you get a negative COVID test, that COVID test is essentially bupkis, or well, in this case, 72 hours. And so I needed that 72-hour window, and I emailed the embassy and was like, all the testing centers, I called like 30 testing centers before I emailed the embassy and was like, all of these places, the fastest I can get is 3 to 5 days, but if it needs to be in that 3-day window, 4 and 5 don't do anything for me. And was basically getting a response from the embassy saying, it's gotta be 72 hours. And so panic sets in again, and I'm just like, I was calling everywhere in Georgia, everywhere in Tennessee. I started looking into other states in the area and was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do. And then I started thinking, I was like, all right, well, let me check LA. Worst case scenario, I fly out a couple days earlier. And luckily I was able to find a place, Dr. Nazarian at My Concierge, myconcierge.com is their website, was very responsive to me, emailed me back in the evening, was like, yes, that is the test that we do. Because a lot of the places, even the 3 to 5 business days, I'd finally find a place that would do something faster. I found the rapid test in Georgia, but she was like, they'll only test you if you have symptoms. And I didn't even think offhand to lie to them and be like, oh yeah, I have a feeling good, I need a test, until after the fact. But I contacted Dr. Nazaria, he got back to me, he said that yes, that is the test we do. Yes, it can be turned around. I called the next day, spoke to the woman in the office. She was super helpful and friendly and reassured me that it was 24-hour turnaround time, 48 at most. Guaranteed me that they are in fact there throughout the weekend, Saturday, Sunday. So if I get the test Friday, I am certain to have the results by Sunday. And then they'll give me a fit to fly certificate at the same time I get the results. And so that's the last piece of this puzzle. That still needs to be accomplished. But like I said, waiting for the passport to get back. I got the notification with the tracking number, and so I was watching, doing the same thing with the quarantine hotel. Just refresh on the USPS website, waiting for that confirmation. It's emotional roller coaster, but needless to say, I got it. I got the mailer. I got my passport. It's got a stamp. I just need to pass my COVID test in LA and get on all my flights, and I'll be in Thailand. And the 26th is a very real day, and then I'll get to hold my daughter again, kiss my wife. All those luxuries I know so many people are taking advantage of right now, and but I'm elated. I can't believe I've made it this far. It's been a daunting 7-month process to get this far. Basically what I had to do in the last couple of weeks is the same kind of thing we had to do for Mina's visa to get into the US, which was a daunting process in itself. And that is another thing we still have to complete. But I'm on my way to see my girls, and I'm on my way.